Virgo, wait. Just wait right there. Before you scroll past this, before you tell yourself this isn't for you, before you dismiss what you are feeling right now, I need you to stay. Because something brought you to this exact moment, this exact video, this exact second. And I think if you are being honest with yourself, you already feel something right now. Reading this, watching this, something small but undeniable, like a flicker, like a quiet warmth somewhere in your chest. And I don't want you to talk yourself out of that. There's something happening in your life right now, or something that has been slowly, quietly building, and you have not fully allowed yourself to feel the weight of it yet. Not because you are unaware, but because somewhere along the way you learned to be careful with hope. You learned to keep your expectations low, to not get too excited, to protect yourself from the disappointment of wanting something and not receiving it. And that makes complete sense. Given what you have been through, given how many times you showed up with an open heart and had to find your way back from something painful. But here is what I am noticing right now. Something has shifted, not dramatically, not with fanfare, but in the quiet, steady way that real change tends to move. There is a softening happening in the situation you have been holding, in the dynamic you have been navigating, in the internal landscape of what you believe is possible for you. And I want to ask you something. Have you noticed yourself feeling lighter lately, even briefly, even in moments that surprised you? A moment where something that usually weighs on you just didn't. A moment where you caught yourself smiling at something small, or where the future felt, just for a second, less heavy than it usually does. Have you had moments like that recently? Let me know in the comments. Because I think what is happening for you right now is more significant than you are giving it credit for. Let me stay with you here for a moment, because I want to talk about happiness, real happiness, not the performance of it, not the version you show other people, but the kind that lives underneath everything, the kind that is quiet and steady and doesn't need an audience. And I want to ask you something that I really want you to sit with. When was the last time you allowed yourself to imagine feeling genuinely happy, not cautiously optimistic, not carefully hopeful, but fully, completely, without apology, happy? For a lot of people watching this right now, that question lands somewhere tender. Because somewhere along the way, happiness started to feel like something that happened to other people, something that required specific conditions, something you would get to eventually after things settled, after the situation resolved, after life stopped being so complicated. But what if that is not how it works? I want to describe a scene to you. Imagine you are somewhere you love. Maybe it is a specific place. Maybe it is just a feeling of space, of room to breathe. And in this moment, there is nothing urgent, nothing pressing, nothing requiring your attention or your management or your careful navigation, just ease. And in that ease, something opens in you, not dramatically, but like a window being pushed up on a warm morning. Just a few inches, just enough to let something in. That feeling, that simple, unglamorous, ordinary feeling of ease, that is what is becoming more available to you. Not because everything in your life has suddenly become perfect, but because something in you is becoming more willing to receive it. Let me slow down for a second because I think there is something underneath this that deserves to be named carefully. You have been working very hard, not just externally, but internally. The inner work, the kind nobody sees, the late nights where you lay there processing things that were too heavy to talk about, the moments where you chose to keep going even though you were exhausted, the times you decided to stay soft even when hardness would have been easier. That work, that invisible, unglamorous, deeply personal work, it has not gone nowhere. Energy doesn't disappear. Effort doesn't evaporate. The things you have invested in yourself, the growth you have chosen, even when it was uncomfortable, that accumulates. And what I am sensing right now is that accumulation beginning to express itself. Think about something you have been quietly hoping for. Not the version you tell people, the real version, the one you think about when you are alone, when you are honest with yourself. Maybe it is a relationship that finally feels safe. Maybe it is a situation resolving in a way that actually serves you. Maybe it is simply waking up one morning and feeling like yourself again, fully, completely, without the weight. Hold that quietly for a moment, not with desperation, not with the tight grip of wanting, but just acknowledge it. Let yourself admit that you want it. Because the first step toward receiving anything is being honest enough to admit you want it in the first place. Have you been afraid to want things lately? Afraid to let yourself hope because hope has felt dangerous? Tell me in the comments, because I think this is one of the most common places people get stuck, and I think a lot of you watching right now know exactly what I mean. Now let me go deeper, because the title of this reading says something very specific. You don't even realize how happy you will be. And I want to sit with that phrase because it is not talking about a distant, abstract future happiness. It is talking about a happiness that is already forming, already present in the energetic fabric of what is shifting around you. The kind of happiness that sneaks up on you, that you don't see coming until it is already there, until you look around one day and realize, oh, things are actually good. And that moment, that quiet, almost surprised recognition of goodness, that is what this is pointing toward. Let me talk about something specific. There are probably areas of your life right now that feel like they are in a holding pattern. Situations where you are not sure what is happening, where the outcome is unclear, where you have done everything you can do and now you are in the space of waiting. And waiting is hard, especially for someone like you, someone who is used to taking action, used to solving things, used to finding a way through. Waiting can feel like losing ground, like standing still while time moves. But here is what I want you to consider. Not all stillness is stagnation. Sometimes stillness is the final moment before something breaks open, the held breath before the exhale, the quiet before something arrives. And what I am sensing right now is that some of the things you have been waiting for are closer to resolution than they feel. Not because I can see a timeline, not because I can guarantee an outcome, but because the energetic quality of what is around you right now has the texture of something completing, something landing, something that has been in motion, finally finding its place. I want to talk about the version of you that exists on the other side of this, not as a prediction, but as a probability, a direction that is already forming. The version of you who has moved through this period, who has come out the other side of the uncertainty, who has arrived somewhere that feels more like home. What does that version of you feel like? Not look like, feel like? There is probably a lightness there, a sense of space in the chest that has been tight for too long, a quality of being settled in yourself, of not having to brace for something. Hold on. I want to make sure you really feel that for a second. Not rushed past it, not skipped over. That version of you who is settled, who is not waiting for the other shoe to drop, who is simply here, present, okay? That is not a fantasy. That is a direction. And you are already moving toward it. Let me talk about joy for a moment, because joy is different from happiness. Happiness tends to be responsive. It shows up when good things happen, when conditions are met, when situations resolve. But joy is something older than that. Something that lives underneath circumstances. Something that is present even in complexity, even in difficulty, even in the middle of things not being fully resolved yet. And I think for a lot of people watching this, joy has felt very far away lately. Not absent, but muted, like a signal with interference, like something you can sense is there, but you can't quite receive clearly. And part of what is shifting right now is that interference clearing. Slowly, not all at once, but bit by bit, the noise quieting, the signal becoming clearer. And what is coming through is something that has always been there, waiting underneath the weight, waiting for enough space to be felt. Have you had unexpected moments of joy recently? Small ones, almost inconvenient in their timing. A laugh that surprised you, a moment of beauty that caught you off guard, something simple that felt, just for a second, like enough. Those moments, those small interruptions of lightness, they are not accidents, they are not random, they are the signal becoming clearer. Tell me in the comments if you have been having moments like that, because I think more of you than you realize are already in the beginning of this shift, already receiving the first notes of something that is going to become much louder. I want to address something directly now, because some of you watching this are in the middle of something genuinely difficult, not just uncertain, actually difficult, actually painful, actually requiring more from you than feels fair. And if that is where you are, I don't want to gloss over that. I don't want to rush you past the reality of what you are carrying, because that reality is real and it deserves to be acknowledged. But here is what I also want to say. The depth of what you are moving through right now is proportional to something. The weight of what you are carrying is not random. It is not punishment. It is not evidence that things will always be this hard. It is evidence of how much you are capable of holding, of how much depth you carry, of how much capacity for feeling and navigating and continuing actually lives inside you. And that capacity, that depth, that is exactly what makes the happiness on the other side of this the kind you don't even realize is coming, because it will be proportional to. I'm not sure why, but this feels important to say right now. You are allowed to feel good. You are allowed to want good things. You are allowed to move toward lightness without feeling like you are betraying the difficulty of what you have been through. Choosing joy is not denial. Choosing hope is not naivety. Choosing to believe that good things are possible for you is not irresponsible. It is actually one of the most courageous things a person can do after everything, after the disappointments, after the times it didn't work out the way you hoped, to still choose to believe, to still remain open, to still show up with your heart available. That is not weakness. That is one of the rarest and most powerful qualities a human being can carry. Let me bring this toward its close now, because I want to leave you somewhere good, somewhere grounded, somewhere that feels like solid ground beneath your feet. Here is what I want you to take from this moment. The happiness that is forming in your life right now is not contingent on everything being perfect. It is not waiting for all the problems to be solved. It is not hiding behind some future version of your circumstances. It is available now, in small doses, in quiet moments, in the spaces between the hard things. And your job right now is not to force it, not to manufacture it, not to perform it. Your job is simply to stop blocking it, to let yourself notice the small good things, to let yourself feel the moments of ease without immediately bracing for what comes next, to let yourself receive, even imperfectly, even briefly, what is already trying to reach you. You have earned this, not in a transactional way, not because the universe owes you something, but because you have shown up, you have continued, you have chosen growth over bitterness, you have stayed open when closing would have been easier, and that that quality of continuing, that is what creates the conditions for something real, something lasting, something that feels, when it arrives, like finally. If this reading touched something in you today, if something in here landed somewhere you needed it to land, please leave a comment below. Tell me what you are hoping for. Tell me what has been heavy. Tell me what small good thing you noticed today that you almost talked yourself out of appreciating. Because you being here matters. Your presence in this moment matters. And whatever is building in your life right now, it matters too. Stay open, stay present, and let yourself be surprised by how good things can actually get. No lottery tickets, no empty promises, just truth wrapped in light for the ones who kept going when quitting was easier. You earned your peace. Go receive it.